Robots Radio presents...
Today's chat is brought to you by, well, all of your support. Through the patronage you provide the Focus Fire chat team through Podbean's crowdfunding, we are able to provide you with the weekly podcast as well as the website and other aspects of Focus Fire chat. If you have any interest in becoming a patron of the FFC, please be sure to visit our website and click on the support link. Even a single dollar helps, and for those of you who are already patrons, thank you again for your generosity.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat. Explore together.
Welcome to Focus Fire Chat, recorded live on October 30th, 2020 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat as we continue our discussion over the new element Stasis. This particular episode will serve as what we have come to call the advanced session of the week's exploration, so congratulations to those who've signed up for a deeper dive. Before we go any further, however, let's run through a quick introduction of who all we have with us on the show. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86.
I am apparently still the otter mom. Hey, it's Orchid.
You will always be the otter mom.
My tummy is still full of waffles.
The waffle queen.
Waffle otter mom. Waffle queen otter mom. Yeah.
And last but definitely not the least in the hot seat as guest co-host, we have our good friend TanyaMBurr. Tanya, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Now, chat is off on a tangent about having what music they would like their ghosts to blast while we play.
No, we have Sassy just wanting the ghost to open a different game at this point.
Oh yeah, open the division. Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna actually going to. Well, actually, I have a couple of announcements, but then I'm going to turn it over to Orchid to explain these mechanics because she knows these things better than I do. She understands. Say this, but no, that's not true. She understands these things better than I do because Orchid actually plays the game with a strategy, and I play
Crucible, and then I'm dragged around by Australians who tell me what to do.
That's a strategy.
That's not playing. That they have the strategy. They just tell me what mods to put on and where to stand. And what to shoot. That's how I play the game.
So real quick.
Other people tell me how to play the game. I am just along for the ride.
So real quick, before we jump in, just a general reminder, please give the lorenetwork.com a look-see. Let us know if there's anything that we don't have over there that you would like us to put up there. Mostly, I would be curious on your input on the weekly lore roundups that we do, as well as the Destiny Armory Defined articles. Those are our big things right now that we're doing every week. On top of that, if you guys have a spare moment or a couple minutes to spare for us, we would love to hear your thoughts and your reviews and a rating over on iTunes for both the Focus Fire chat as well as the Destiny Lore audio file. That is Green's project, which is basically taking the lore books that we all are talking about right now and turning them into an audiobook format. But with all that being said, Orchid, go. Orchid, I choose you.
Oh no, we're in trouble, guys.
Oh no,
we're troubled now. I am driving, guys. This is gonna go downhill so quickly.
The wheels are coming off,
guys. I've been on this spot 3 weeks now, Blue.
Yep, you're in charge. Go,
guys. Welcome to the final episode of Focus Fire Chat. I'm gonna just drive us into a brick wall. We're gonna explode into flames. So I'm going to talk about the customization options because this is apparently the one thing I know how to do, which is put mods on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what Blue has decided my function is to customize things. A customizable, if Vero is around to say things. Yep. Oh, Orchid is your favorite. Oh, thank you, Vero. So, the aspects and fragments will allow more layers in the customization of abilities like grenades, movement modes, class abilities, etc. So it's going to make doing stuff a lot easier. So the aspects are actually going to be physical items in the world, which you can slot to offer actual new abilities. Also with other effects. So you can there are a couple examples that we have. So you can get like crystallized Vex Conflux or a robotic fallen arm or something called a shatter drive. Do you want to say what a shatter drive is, Blue? Because you wrote notes here.
Shatter dive. So the shatter dive is a frozen scream. This is the basically the flavor text that we have for it.
I just wanted to hear you say shatter drive.
Shatter dive. It's a frozen scream trapped in a gemstone, the recognition of a great and terrible truth. You descend upon your enemies with the enormity of the dark because you use a shatter dive.
Oh my God, why? We also have Tectonic Harvest, which apparently is a petrified grip grasping for something once held but now lost. Your hands create power from nothing, which is against the laws of physics. That's cool.
Pair causality.
I don't like that. You can't create power from nothing. It has to come from somewhere. That makes me uncomfortable.
Listen to your
they're
non-magical
also subclass
thinking.
specific, so that's interesting. So we're gonna have a bunch of stuff to find. I have cat hair up my nose. All right. The other one are fragments, which are physical items which are able to be discovered and applied to aspects. So you need the aspects to apply the fragments to, because Bungie loves complicated systems. So you have there to offer additional passive perks, such as stat bonuses that may come with penalties. So they sound a lot like Warmind mods or stacks on stacks for extra light mods or stuff like that. So charged with light mods is kind of what they sound like to me. So examples sound like Whisper of Bonds, Whisper of Durance. So they're Whisper of Hedrons, Whisper of Refraction. They're class agnostic, so it does not matter what class you have. They work for everything.
You gotta whisper them. Whisper of Bonds.
Whisper of Bonds.
Whisper. Now,
Whisper.
Whisper.
Whisper of Refraction.
Trigger.
Whisper.
Definition of paracausality: physics is optional. Stasis ASMR.
Orchid would fail at Hogwarts. I have a Slytherin. Have you not seen? Did you see my Slytherin robes? Excuse you, Black Flag.
Orchid would not be in Ravenclaw.
No, I would be in the good one. Slytherin. The good one.
Yeah, and Sapphire Sunset is also calling out aspects are subclass specific and fragments are class agnostic.
Yeah. And even with these people. All right, so let's get into some of the grenade abilities, since grenades are my favorite thing.
These are also agnostic.
Are they agnostic?
Yes, they are agnostic. They are class agnostic. They don't believe in any particular class.
Oh, okay, that's good. They're open to all classes.
They're open to all classes. All possibilities.
Yeah, all possibilities. They don't believe in one particular class.
They do not adhere to a particular class, no.
Right? Okay. All three options will show the capability of Stasis to change the way Guardians fight. So it introduces kind of the ability to create a new geometry to the overall world around them. God, Blue. Purple prose, sir. So we have three kinds of grenades. We have a glacier grenade, a cold snap grenade, and a dusk field grenade. The glacier grenade, apparently upon contact with the ground, a wall of stasis crystals instantly bursts from the earth, and nearby enemies are frozen inside stasis crystal. These grenades have multiple uses, from encasing enemies to creating cover. So when destroyed, the crystals will create area of effect burst damage to nearby enemies. So what do you think these could actually be used for in the game?
Exploration.
Yes.
Just pretty sure there's going to be some stuff that you're only going to be able to get to if you have, or at least get to easier if you have one of those barrier walls that you can put up against something. But the other thing they're going to be really great for is when you're in a boss battle and we determine that rockets are going to be the best thing to take down a boss.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's what I was. No, I know. I see where you're going, and I like. Continue your thought. I like where you're going with this.
Whether on purpose or by accident.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fraggle does this all the time. Who put a bubble up? Everyone put a bubble up, Fraggle. You
I
don't
had
fire
the wrong shield equipped.
Yeah, you don't fire the rocket inside the bubble.
Rockets are due for a comeback, man.
They said they're going to work on them in the future. So whatever that means.
So cold
we'll
snap.
get them eventually.
What about that cold
that's-
snap?
So that's what I think that those are going to be the best.
These are going to
for.
be cool. Yeah, these are going to be cool grenades. So let's go to the next one, the cold snap grenades. So these say, upon impact with the ground or an enemy, this grenade unleashes a wave of stasis energy that races along the ground in the direction of the closest nearby enemy, freezing them and then searching out the next nearby foe. You can freeze up to 3 enemies with a single cold snap grenade.
Yeah, that was one of the ones that they had in the trailer, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. It looks like it'll be good for, trash mobs and be really rude in, control in the Crucible.
Well, you talk about control in the Crucible. That glacier grenade, you have a choke point. You have a choke point that's you can create a kill box real quick.
Oh yeah. Just think of it in like a map like Midtown that has, small.
Basically,
that has small choke points.
The people who are using glacier grenades in Crucible are the Mays, the people who play May in Overwatch.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Black Flag. Yeah.
Black Flag. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yep. You guys.
And we all know May is actually the bad guy.
Nope.
She killed her team. She killed her team.
Earlier segment is how to debate your rocket wielding teammate.
So Duskfield,
yeah. Duskfield grenades create powerful stasis fields that suck enemies into them when forming. When an enemy is caught inside, they'll be slowed and, if unable to make it out in time, frozen in place. Gross.
I would like to remind us that all the grenades are rated E for everyone.
Yep.
Let it go.
Great suck.
So these sound like they're basically like a weird form of a tether.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
That'll be interesting because I can see all of these being used. I think that was what chat was saying earlier too. Like this is all about changing up the strategy of the area more than, just aggressive combat. This is actually going to force people to think about how to get around these new obstacles. Black Flag. It's better than tether. You can walk out of a tether. This is true.
Do you ever play Titanfall 2?
Mm-hmm.
No.
The Duskfield grenade sounds a lot like there's that one grenade where you can suck things into, and those could be a lot of fun or annoying depending on what side of the grenade you're on.
Yeah, that is a very true statement. But now that we got the grenades out of the way, we'll take a quick ad break real here, and then we're going to jump into, I want to talk about the different subclasses and the way that they kind of take the concept of stasis and kind of make it their own. So we'll be right back after that.
Hey Guardians, we are the Destiny Show Podcast, a weekly podcast about all things Destiny 2. We invite amazing guests from the Destiny community to share their stories and discuss the latest topics from the world of Destiny. Check us out on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or live on Twitch every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will see you Starside.
And since we have Orchid leading the charge here, we're going to do Warlocks first.
In your face.
So Shadebinder, what are your thoughts on Shadebinder, Orchid? Are they pretty cool?
I mean, this is like all I've wanted is to be a space mage, and now I finally have like the space mage staff.
You get a wizard staff.
I finally have the wizard staff, so like my little space mage heart is complete because now I can just run around with my wizard staff and just be complete.
Do you have a wizard hat though?
Do you know one? How do you think? Do you think I don't wear one when I sit in my room and play video games by myself, Blue?
I cast magic missile at the darkness.
You're a wizard, Orchid. Orchid gets to be Gandalf. Orchid wishes she was Gandalf. My beard would be majestic. It'd be so long and flowing and white. Anyway, so Shadefinder subclass warlocks, they are masters of destruction. They launch projectiles, freeze enemies, they shatter them. Shadebinder ensues, no foe is left standing. So apparently the fantasy shorthand for the warlock Shadebinder, established early on, is Ice Wizard. I am on board if it's Ice Wizard. But it's not ice, it's cosmic ice. So cosmic ice wizard.
Cosmic ice wizard. It just makes
Even
it
better,
sound.
really.
Yeah, I was about to say. Makes it add a little bit of that fabulous flair to it.
Yes, absolutely. So the super ability, there is Winter's Wrath, which is harnessing the power of the darkness to summon a stasis staff, which is my favorite. You can do a shatter shockwave. You're laughing at me, but I really just want that stasis staff, okay? It's real dumb sounding. Why would you name it that?
There's so many things I want to say, but this is a family-friendly podcast.
I know. There are so many things I want to say to you. Do you know how hard it is for me to hold myself back like this? Chat knows.
Shatter shockwave.
Chat knows how hard this is.
So let's talk about detonating the crystal on your staff.
That's what she said. The Shadebinder detonates the crystal on their staff, creating a devastating shockwave that shatters all nearby frozen enemies. So that takes the idea that someone needs to use a grenade first to freeze your enemies. So either you yourself need to freeze them, or another fire team member needs to freeze them, so then you can use your shatter shockwave. So you really need the whole idea of this is that you need to work together with your teammates to be able to use the super, or it's not going to be useful at all, is kind of what I got out of it.
Takes two to tango.
And then, yeah, it takes two to tango. Hey, Blue, I want to use this stasis staff. Do you want to help me here? It takes two to tango.
It's better than Ice Rod. So about that penumbral blast. Now that Orchid's completely broken. So the penumbral blast takes the stasis staff, or the ice rod, and fires stasis projectiles from the staff that explode on impact. Enemies hit by this crystalline shrapnel are immediately frozen solid. At this point, I just need to see how much we can break Orchid talking about the stasis staff. So, with its focus on freezing and shattering, the Shadebinder subclass promises to give Guardians yet another reason to love their floaty, book-loving warlocks.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Chat says that the enemies hit by the crystalline shrapnel shatter from shock alone. Oh, man. So they go on to say that no class embodies the concept of freezing better than the Warlock Shadebinder, because when they're imbued by stasis energy, the Shadebinder can summon the stasis staff that fires projectiles which can freeze opponents immediately, rendering them immobile. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, kind of going back to the Penumbral Blast, and then also the Winter's Wrath ability combined with the Shatter Shockwave aspect is another example of that concept. So when you summon the staff, you can then fire projectiles that instantly freeze it, and then your second stage begins when the Guardian raises the staff, detonates its stasis crystal, and sends a devastating shatter shockwave that disintegrates nearby frozen opponents. Just on the side note, I'm just impressed that I got through that with a straight face, but enough about the ice rod. Let's talk about the Revenant.
I wouldn't have gotten through that. Yeah. Good for you.
Chats convinced that it's... Anyways, Revenants. So the Revenant is the Hunter, the new Hunter subclass, and they are called out as being a worthy ally in any battle. They're the kind of coined phrase here is summon the storm, use it for cover, lure enemies inside, and then unleash devastation. And I think, Tanya, you referred to this as the Ice Ninja, and that is those two little things that they summon. They have a name. Those are basically commas, is what I recognize them as. Again, kind of going back up there, whereas the Shadebinder was established as the Ice Wizard, the Revenant was really kind of the iteration of the Ninja archetype. The super ability here is they actually summon dual comma blades, which are referred to as Silence and Squall. So I guess, what is it? They say channeling stasis shards towards them. Revenants form comma blades and use them to unleash a lethal two-prong attack. So you kind of have two options here. You have Deadly Edge, which is you hit one in the first. Upon impact, the first blade shatters and sends out a wave of stasis energy that freezes any enemies in its surrounding area. And then the second blade hits and creates a stasis storm, which is basically something that hones in on nearby enemies, slowing, damaging, and eventually freezing them. And then you follow up with the Withering Blade, which is the melee, and basically you chunk razor-sharp stasis shurikens into the fray that ricochet off multiple enemies and surfaces, slowing and damaging them in the process. Basically, you turn the battlefield into a meat grinder, and if anything's left, you have your ice rod wielding Ice Wizard to clean up the mess after they.
So hunters get Silence and Squall, while warlocks get a Stasis Staff.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there should be a specific name for it, just to make. I mean, I guess like having named weapons as opposed to a generic thing, but then again, leave it to hunters to be like, these are my two blades,
yeah.
Silence and Squall.
I mean, that reminds me of Galleon, right? Galleon had all his knives with all his knives had names.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the idea of like the hunters just like, I'm going to throw this piece of crystal into the middle of the fight, and oh look, it's going to cause damage.
It's Wombo Combo, but ice mode. I'm going to have to work on my ice puns.
Well, and it's kind of intriguing too, because it sounds like with the two, like Deadly Edge and Stasis Storm, you actually are throwing the commas. So like you throw it, and so like they say, you know, the first blade when thrown immediately detonates on impact, freezing enemies within a radius or in a radius from the center of the blast. And then if you throw the second blade, it embeds itself into a surface or an enemy and then detonates, creating a stasis storm that tracks nearby enemies, slowing and damaging them as it makes contact. So basically, where the wizard is blowing stuff up, the Revenant is slowing everything down. And yes, this also mentions your comment about the dodge aspect, which is the slow dodge aspect.
Oh man, it's that I was reading through the notes earlier, and I saw that, and I'm like, oh man, that'll be a lot of fun with trash mobs, but it, like, depending on how it works in Crucible, it's gonna be especially with 6 Coyote, just and a high mobility stat, just like dodging all and freezing people all over the place. Looking forward to seeing the clip reels of those, though. Probably going to be some cursing on the other ends, but then again, that's Crucible.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah. And then going completely away from the S theme, we have the Behemoth. The Behemoth is the Titan subclass. Orchid, do you want to talk about the Behemoths?
I would love to. My other subclass. I would love to. So the Behemoth subclass for Titans, they are high offense and high defense. So they're both extremes. They create solid stasis crystals to provide cover or platforms for which to leap during their super. Behemoths can jump higher, faster, and farther with unlimited melee energy and high damage mitigation. So they are just real quick boys. It's just Yeet Titans, but icy. I already have this super, guys.
No, but Orchid,
why do I want it again?
Because Orchid, you have a stasis staff, but then in other cases you need to use your fist. And that's what Titans do. They like to have the panic super. It's the Icy Hulk.
I
You know
mean,
what?
there's
It's just like Sassy said, you just need to pound it sometimes.
Glacial quake.
Oh my god. Well, I'm going to talk about Titans because I love my Titan. So, Glacial Quake, they compel stasis energy, my god, to attach their body, covering themselves in frozen darkness. I hate you so much right now. I am coming for you.
You can do this. You're halfway through.
Gonna end
Halfway through
life
that.
later.
Halfway through that paragraph. Halfway through that sentence.
Oh my god. Behemoths compel stasis energy to attach to their body covering themselves in the frozen darkness from forming a stasis gauntlet on one hand, increasing their damage resistance in the process.
And then they use the Shiver Strike.
These names are so dumb. So the Behemoth summons a stasis gauntlet and lunges forward with explosive speed. It sounds like another super we already have, guys. Smashing through anything in their way, like another super we already have, guys. Upon reaching their target, they unleash a devastating jab that sends their foe careening backwards while slowing nearby enemies, like a super we already have, guys. Except the slowing nearby enemies, we don't have that one. Usually they explode.
This time they'll freeze, then explode.
Yeah, now they slow down before craning backwards, so it's almost the same thing. Ground control. The Behemoth slams their gauntlet into the ground, sending out tremors of powerful stasis energy that leave crystals in their wake and freeze all enemies in the vicinity. Hooray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Titan Behemoth uses stasis as a means of both creation and destruction. So it's unlike the other two, which do not do that. I would argue that Warlocks especially are very destructive boys and very much just they're the freezy boys. They just like to freeze things.
Yeah, I do like how they have the stasis usage, like it's got different flavors for each of the subclasses. With the Titan actually does have kind of the combination of the area of effect that you see like the Hunters really kind of doubling down on, but then the Warlocks have the destructive concept, and that Titan is kind of actually in the middle, which is an interesting place for them to be, because up until now really it's been Titans have been the more aggressive, Warlocks have been kind of the more, well, they've tended to be the more conservative, and the Hunters kind of fit the gap between the two. So it's interesting. I'm going to be interested to see how this kind of changes the playing field. I do also, yes, make a note that the super ability Glacial Quake acts similar to the existing Fist of Havoc.
It's like a super we already have, guys.
Yeah, because they say covered in an armor of stasis crystal, the Titan temporarily becomes an unstoppable wrecking machine, able to jump higher, faster, and further, all while blasting enemies with greatly increased melee attacks. Because that's what Titans need. Greatly increased melee attacks.
Of course it's something Titans need, because that's our one function.
They punch things.
Punching stuff. And see, this is why as a Warlock I need to be able to punch more things. And then my life will be complete.
I mean, even
I will
Hunters
become
can punch.
full Fellwinter if I can do that. So that's all I
Tell
want, really.
Titans to get more creative.
Hunters like cutting people. Hunters
Well,
like naming their weapons. That's true.
with the right hunter subclass, hunters can punch. Like the stab turns into a punch.
That's true. I do like how you see the different takes of the same element in the same way that we have with the existing elements, you know, how each one has a different kind of take. I'm going to be curious do we know, are they doing different paths within these subclasses like they do with the others?
You know, I don't know because they've talked about the supers, but they haven't been super specific about them except for what we know. Like what we have written down in these notes are what we know.
Okay.
Like what they had in that little Vidoc that we did was what
Because that would be where I see like an opportunity for even really more kind of interesting twist of how like these different approaches to stasis take on different flavors even more.
Well, we're going to have the artifact customizing.
That's
too.
true.
Like
that is true. Yeah.
So they are keeping that as something that they're just going to keep doing after. I mean, I liked that they did that this year, that they had the artifacts.
Well, I mean, the artifacts that you can slot into your supers, those are supposed to
fragments and
significantly.
aspects.
Right. Okay.
That's what Veru's saying too. I think that's what the customization for the paths is going to be through those, which will be more open. I think is what they're saying, which is interesting. I guess my one kind of takeaway there though is like I kind of like the path concept because it was like a kind of a tie-in to how you trained, like how your character would get like introduced to those elements. From a storytelling perspective.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out in 2 weeks. 1 week.
I could see it that you go into a specific adventure or story mission or something, and at the end you're rewarded with this thing that you actually use to affect
that would be
your subclass.
That would be really cool. Is like that's how you unlock different aspects or different fragments.
Well, because all of the things that we've seen, the fragments and aspects have like little bits of lore that go with them. And having us have something specific that we get them from just would be amazing. And I could totally see them doing that, you know? Like, first of all, I love that they're including lore into the fragments and aspects and kind of deepening the world that way and having it be like a thing that affects something rather than what we've had typically thus far, for the most part, have been little things that we pick up like a spin foil hat or something that is something that's ultimately junk. Oh my gosh, I just realized if we could get a spin foil hat that would affect our super somehow.
Orchid would love the wizard hat to go with the stasis staff.
Could I also have a beard?
No, it's destiny. No one's allowed to have beards.
Beards when, guys?
It'll be like a fragment or an aspect of something that you equip to your super, but it doesn't like change the physical appearance of your character. Which changing, I think that they're making the groundwork for it, and eventually we'll be able to change the appearance of our characters. Whether or not we'll have beards, I have no idea. I really want to see exo beards right this second. But I think there's a lot of potential lore-wise for the fragments and aspects, just from what we've seen so far. Just add flavor text to all of that stuff, and it'll be just
bring back the reason to open all the items that we're about to dismantle. That was one of the best parts about D1 was all the blue items having actually really interesting stories attached to them.
Oh man, yeah. The old artifacts all had little descriptions and whatnot, and one of them was even an Iron Lord hill, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm talking about like even before that, like the blue armor from like original D1. You had like entire sets. You had these sets that actually told small stories. just like that type of concept was just, it was really cool to kind of, sit down and just like go through each of the items and see the little snippets that they gave us. That was really one of the things that I did. I also picked up with the aspects and the fragments was those different things, like the Shatter Dive and the Frost Pulse were two of the ones that were really cool. Mostly because the Frost Pulse was like the concept of taking one of those confluxes and trapping it inside of a stasis crystal was really interesting. Yes, Black Flag. The Seraph armor is still one of my favorite sets of armor.
Yeah, some good stuff. At the start of D1, or at the start of D2, rather, the armor did have those bits and pieces that told the story, but and also almost everything had a lore tab, especially the exotics and some of the legendaries, and that has, like, you'll see it from time to time, but it's kind of decreased, and it seems like maybe they're bringing more of that back, and those are some of my favorite pieces of Destiny, those little stories that you get in these pieces of armor that you collect. And I really appreciate that they're going to have a whole lore section in the update where you can read all of the stuff in the game. I mean, Ishtar Collective is great for that too, but it'll bring more attention to it, having it in the game, which people have been asking for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect that we'll see, at least from what they've shown us so far, it seems like there's going to be a lot more of that in the future, and even these little things that we use to modify our supers and our subclasses. And I'm really happy and excited. I started to say both of the words at the same time. Hided for that.
It's acceptable. Orchid, you wanna start wrapping up?
Yeah, I think we're pretty much done here. We went through a lot of emotions in this episode, so
got to talk
I really
about
want to
stasis
thank
staffs.
you, Tanya, for being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. If y'all ever want to geek out about lore stuff again, like if you have the spot open, I'd be happy to come back. This has been a lot of fun.
We'll have to have Green on to make sure that we behave.
Yeah. We really need like a child minder to watch Blue.
This happens every time she takes a break. It's like
every time she takes a break and Blue and I are left on our own, like bad things happen.
We're like, did you know that we could make puns and kind of... Anyways, Stasis staff. Shoutouts. Dancing is very excited for Beyond Illuminable.
Oh, yes.
That is a very, very true statement. I think, man, we're, 11 days?
Yeah.
At the time of recording?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Tanya, what shoutouts do you have for the advanced session?
For the advanced session, I want to give a shout out to Destiny community artists who have gotten to know more, and our ranks grow by the day. I say "are," although I'm relatively new to joining the Destiny artist community, and just like Destiny community in general, just so many great people. I have met so many fantastic people through this video game, and I'm just really grateful for it. If y'all probably already know Lee Summerstone, the Watermelon Expo. If you haven't read his comics, then you should definitely check them out. He has created a really great story for his Exo character. It's been really inspiring. Art Deck does amazing 3D sculptures. Dr. Jones puts out some great merch, Indulgent Human. I also want to give shout outs to, I worked with a group of people that helped put bring together artists for the GCX Online Artist Alley this year. Estrella Dragons, she's amazing. Heather O Studios helped organize that, and she's got like these really great engram drink pins that you should check out. Average Joe, who does Guardians Mental Health, which I might be botching the name of the thing.
Yep, that's right. They used to be the Saint 14 project, but then they moved to the Guardians Mental Health.
He's been doing a lot of really amazing work with that. Resolute is a fantastic painter, great guy. You should check out his stuff. Also, TC Illustrates, Nerd and Needle. Pixelated Traveler has been a really great, encouraging human being that I'm glad to know. I'm probably forgetting some people here, and if I do, I apologize. But I'm glad that we could all meet each other through this game. A shout out to Bungie too for all of this hard work and bringing out a new expansion under the current circumstances that we have is nothing short of incredible. Real quick, Shackle Shotgun. I honestly think that when Destiny community was having a tough time, that her roundups helped keep it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's. Oh my God, Toki, stop it! My lord.
Shout out to Toki. Shout out to Toki.
This cat has just been such a nightmare the entire night. Like,
he wants to be on the podcast.
When I don't have my cam on, guys, like he's still doing this. You just can't see it. It's like these gymnastics are just awful. Thank you again for coming. It's super great. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Toki MVP. Thanks, Nar. You know what? Shout out to Toki for being the worst.
For being the worst.
That's my shout out.
Oh man.
Toki wants freaking cat churu. He's just
I see in the chat a shout out to Stadia. I want to second that shout out. I'm one of the 10 people that got Stadia. Like,
oh, nice.
And Destiny is absolutely amazing on the platform, and I don't think that it's going to be around forever. If you go to the website Killed by Google, you'll see many other fantastic projects, but it just works. When it works, it is amazing. I don't miss not having a super gaming rig for that. I think that Bungie did a lot of their... Stadia is one of the things that let them continue development on that. I think you can sign up and get a free trial account thing. I would recommend at least checking it out with cross save. You can bring your characters there and everything. I'm a Stadia stan.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, again, thank you, Tanya, for taking time out of your day and jumping on with us and chatting with us. We really appreciate it. I do know next week we are going to be taking a break from Destiny, and we're going to be talking about, I think it's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Yes!
Which I know nothing about, which means that it should be really interesting. So that'll be...
Oh boy, are you in for a treat.
Yeah, the little bit I've seen of it, that is an accurate summary of my thoughts. I'm
so excited.
I'm gonna be interested. I know all the memes from it, but I don't know what any of them mean. So
you thought you were doing a podcast, but it was me.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Everybody, tell all your JoJo friends.
Orchid is very excited. So yeah, if you hear this, definitely I think that you will... Well, by the time you hear this, we'll have already recorded it, but we'll put it out on Twitter as always. But as always, with that being said, I just want to thank you for your time. And until next time, remember, with wisdom we conquer, stand strong, stand tall, and keep exploring. With that, we'll begin to wrap the chat up. Thank you again to those over on Twitch for coming to spend your evening with us. If you'd like to join us for the live streaming of the episodes, please be sure to give us a follow over on twitch.tv/FocusedFireChat. Links to all our episode archives can be found at www.thelorenetwork.com. Please be sure to email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com with any comments and or questions for the team concerning the podcast, and let us know how we're doing by giving us some feedback and a rating over on iTunes as well. So until next time, focus your fire and may your light shine bright.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.